Okay, ready to dive into something pretty interesting.
I'm all ears.
You sent us this article from the Biblical Archaeology Society, and, well,
Yeah.
it's about the Adam and Eve story,
Oh, okay.
but it focuses on the creation of Eve.
Interesting.
Yeah, and how it all went down.
Huh.
So we have this article, and
Okay.
it digs into this Hebrew word, tsela.
Tsela.
Yeah, and it's usually translated as rib.
Right, like Adam's rib, Eve being created from it?
Exactly, but here's the thing.
Okay.
Tsela, it appears like 40 times throughout the Bible.
Oh, wow.
And get this, it's only translated as rib in the Adam and Eve story.
That is odd.
Right, so everywhere else, it's used to describe like sides of buildings or altars.
Oh, interesting.
Or even like sections of mountains.
Like structural parts?
Yeah, things that extend outward from a central point.
Huh.
So the question is why?
Yeah, why only rib in that one story? It's strange.
Exactly, like why the discrepancy?
It makes you wonder if there's something more to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe a deeper meaning that's been kind of overlooked?
Right.
Well, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
So there's this scholar, Ziony Zivit.
Zevit.
Yeah, and he's got this different take on tsela.
Okay.
He suggests it's not specifically a rib.
It's not.
No, but more like a general term for any limb.
Limb.
Yeah, any limb that extends out from the body's axis laterally.
So like branching out.
Exactly.
Branches on a tree.
Exactly.
You got it.
Okay, so what kind of limbs are we talking about here?
Well, think like arms and legs. Yeah. But also,
Oh, okay.
in the case of males,
Uh-huh.
the penis.
Wait, hold on. The penis?
Yep.
How does that tie into the creation of Eve?
Right, so that's exactly what Zevit dives into.
Oh, okay.
He points out that most mammals, unlike humans,
Right?
they have a bone in their penis called a baculum.
A baculum.
Yeah, and humans don't have that.
So his theory is...
His theory is that the tussle used to create Eve
was
actually Adam's baculum.
And that's why men today don't have one.
Wow, I can only imagine the reactions to that theory.
You're telling me. It's caused quite a stir.
I bet.
Some people, they find it fascinating.
Yeah.
Others think it's, well, a bit out there.
It's definitely a bold interpretation.
You can say that again.
The comments on that article are probably wild.
Oh, you have no idea. It's a whole mix of opinions.
So, what are some of the other interpretations out there?
Well, some argue that the original Hebrew it suggests Eve was created from Adam's side.
From his side.
Yeah, emphasizing this idea of partnership.
Partnership.
And equality between them.
Interesting.
Yeah, very different vibe.
So like two halves of a whole.
Exactly, interconnected, meant to stand side by side.
That is a pretty beautiful interpretation.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Definitely adds another layer to the story.
For sure.
Then there's the idea that tsela could symbolize something like DNA.
DNA.
Yeah, like the blueprint for a new human.
Right, because it comes from the parent, but creates a unique individual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Connected but distinct.
Like tsela itself. Part of something, but also its own thing.
That's a really cool connection.
It is, right?
And of course, you have people who stick to the traditional rib translation.
Oh, absolutely.
Taking the Bible literally.
Yeah, it's a classic interpretation for a reason.
Right. It's rooted in faith and tradition.
Exactly.
So we've got Zevit's theory.
With the baculum.
Right. Then the side interpretation.
And on partnership.
Then the DNA analogy.
Or viewprint.
And then the classic rib translation.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack.
A lot of different ways to look at it.
It really is.
What stands out to you from all of these different viewpoints?
It's honestly just the sheer range of interpretations.
Yeah.
It really highlights how fluid language can be.
Especially in ancient texts.
Oh, absolutely. One word can have so many layers of meaning.
And that can lead to very different understandings.
Yeah, like who's to say which one is definitively right?
That's a good question.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. This deep dive is already making me rethink this whole story.
That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
It encourages us to question things.
To be open to different perspectives.
Exactly. And to think critically about the language we encounter.
Especially with these ancient texts.
Oh yeah, texts that have been translated and reinterpreted for centuries.
It's like there's this whole hidden world beneath the surface.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like an archaeological dig.
Uncovering layers of meaning.
And we have to approach it carefully.
Right. Not impose our own ideas.
Let the text speak for itself.
Even if it challenges what we think we know.
Exactly. And in this case, there's a lot to uncover.
It really makes you think twice about a story you think you know.
Yeah. Familiar, but full of surprises.
It's amazing what one word can do.
That's the power of language, I guess.
It's incredible.
It really is. And it goes beyond just the language itself.
What do you mean?
It's like this theory, it sparks all these other conversations about themes that have been around forever.
Like what?
Well, like some people, they connect it to the sacred feminine idea.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or like ancient fertility cults and stuff.
Huh. Those are pretty deep connections.
They are, right? It gets you thinking.
Definitely.
And then there are those who, they see parallels to other myths and legends.
From around the world.
Yeah, like similar stories about creation.
And transformation.
Exactly. And the origins of humanity, all that.
So it's like this one little word, tsela.
Right.
It's like a key.
A key.
Yeah, to unlock all these different interpretations.
I like that, a key.
Not just in the Bible, but in all these other cultures, too.
But it's like a rabbit hole.
And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about dissecting this one word.
Right.
It's about the bigger picture.
The ripple effects.
Yeah, exactly.
This one word, it's become a catalyst.
A catalyst.
Yeah, for all these really thought-provoking conversations.
It makes you think about how ancient people viewed things.
Gender roles, the body, creation itself.
It really challenges our own perspectives.
It does, doesn't it? Makes you wonder.
What do you mean?
Like, if those ancient authors could ever have imagined
how
their words would be interpreted all these centuries later.
That's a good point.
It's like, did they intend for this? Or is it just how stories evolve?
It's fascinating.
It is. But even beyond specific interpretations, there's this bigger question, right?
That's that.
Like, what was the original intention?
Behind the story itself.
Yeah. What were they trying to communicate?
That's a question that's been debated forever.
Oh, I'm sure. And who knows if we'll ever really know for sure.
Right. But maybe the journey is more important than the destination.
Maybe so. It's like an intellectual adventure.
Piecing together the clues.
And looking at things from different angles.
To try and understand those ancient authors.
And their world.
It's pretty cool when you think about it.
It is. It really is.
So let's bring this back to our listener.
Okay.
What does all this mean for us today?
Well, I think the takeaway here is about curiosity.
Curiosity?
Yeah, and approaching things, not just ancient texts,
but everything
with an open mind.
Okay, I like that.
It's about embracing the mystery.
Not being afraid to not know the answers.
Exactly. Because sometimes the journey is just as valuable.
That's a good point.
It's about challenging ourselves to see things differently.
To dig a little deeper.
And appreciate the complexity of these old narratives.
It's like there's always more beneath the surface.
Always more to learn.
And more to question.
Exactly. It's an ongoing dialogue, you know?
A conversation that connects us to the past.
And to the future.
That's a really powerful thought.
It is, isn't it? Like, we're all part of this ongoing conversation.
Yeah, it's easy to think you know everything about a story like Adam and Eve.
Especially when you've heard so many times.
That, like, you think there's nothing new to learn.
And then, bam, you're hit with something like this.
Because like you said, looking at a painting.
And suddenly seeing details you never noticed before.
Even though you've looked at it 1,000,000 times.
It changes everything.
And here, the painting is the Adam and Eve story.
A story that's been around for what feels like forever.
And yet, just by focusing on this one word,
this one little word, tsela,
it opens up this whole new world of interpretation.
It makes you realize there's always more beneath the surface.
And it's not just about ancient texts either.
You're right. It's about everything.
Like this whole deep dive.
It's been a real journey.
Making us question everything we thought we knew.
And consider possibilities we never even imagined.
And all because of tsela.
It just goes to show you the power of language.
And how much we can learn from the past.
Even if it challenges our present beliefs.
So as we wrap things up here.
Okay.
We want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Right.
If we entertain the idea that the Adam and Eve story.
Yeah.
That it's meant to be symbolic.
Okay.
What does that say about how ancient people saw the world?
That's a big question.
Their views on men and women.
On creation itself.
The human body.
All of it.
It's a question that might not have one right answer.
But it's definitely worth exploring.
It encourages us to think deeper.
And to appreciate the power of storytelling.
Even in the stories we think we know so well.
Because there's always something new to discover.
And that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding.
It's a journey we take together.
Connecting us to the past.
And to each other.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Keep exploring, keep questioning.
And most importantly,
keep those curious minds engaged.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.